once again to the Warren Hayes Show chat of the Warren Hayes Show stream on a Monday, February the 2nd, 2026. February just so happens to be the best month of the year. Unquestionably, there's really no debate. It's the best month of the year. And I hope that I will guide you tonight through a wonderful beginning of this lovely month as I mute my phone to make sure that it doesn't make any inappropriate sounds while I'm recording, streaming. I do them both. Multitasking. You do the recording and the streaming both at once. Hope everyone had a lovely weekend. A lovely last few days. Might have been a little strange. Hasn't been necessarily the not exactly the most exciting, greatest past few days, but you just get little periods like that. Nothing serious. I hope not. And you just get into a weird, just a weird vibe, Weird couple of last days. But don't worry, I'll be fine. The most critical thing, of course, that we need to always remember is that none of this is related to my health, and that's truly what's most important. Anyway, it'd be a lot worse. Could always be a lot worse. And I'm just finishing up a cookie that I had started eating before a stream, and then I got interrupted with a couple of things. Now I'm like, okay, I gotta finish the cookie. Like, I can't. That was the last bite. I couldn't just leave it there on my desk for the entire 2 hours or so that we're going to be spending together. That would have been just wrong. Yeah, I mean, so I don't have much to nothing really to for you to keep up on, with what happened with what happened over the weekend. I watched Tusk this weekend. I hadn't seen Tusk, the Justin Long, Kevin Smith directed movie Tusk. Thought it was a good time. I have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, okay? And I'm not even doing a bit here. Johnny Depp has a mystery part in it, right? In this movie, all of the references to Quebec are the most spot-on, accurate references I have ever seen in an American film. And I am not even kidding. Like, and first of all, the detective's name is Guy Lapointe. That is a classic, typical French Canadian name, because here's what happens sometimes. This is what happens sometimes when French Canadians get interpreted, or get adapted, I should say, into American media. Since most script writers apparently have never been to Quebec, they feel like they can get away by attaching tropes from France to French Canadians, thinking that it's just one-to-one. The baguettes, the berets, the striped shirts, and the prissy attitude and all that. which by the way, the prissy attitude for the French, that's a Parisian thing. It's not even a French. It's not even a French thing. It's a Parisian thing. But I digress for a second here. That, so when we start talking about Quebec and French, it was specifically in American movies, I'm always like, cringe. It's like, I'm gonna hear them. Yeah, I know. I see what they're doing, but no, that's not how it goes here. Johnny Depp in this script, which apparently it's not even a script I watched it with Kristen. Kristen was telling me he improvised most of his lines here. He was so incredibly spot on. And I don't know if anyone saw this movie, okay? But there's a spot where he's a detective, and he's meeting with the two of the main characters, and he's starting to talk. They're in this diner, and he's having sliders, and he's so excited to have sliders because we don't have sliders in Quebec City, right? He's from Quebec City. Like, his character is from my hometown, not from Montreal. He's from Quebec City. And so he's talking about how they don't have sliders and so on and so forth and then he talks about, and then he says, no, all we have in Quebec City is poutine. And he says, you can't throw a stone without hitting a Chez Ashton's. And for the majority of you right now, what I just said there means fuck all. You have no idea what I just talked about. But Chez Ashton is a local chain of fast food restaurants that made its reputation off of how great its poutine is. And everyone here knows Chez Ashton, goes Chez Ashton. It's just like, it's just a classic. It's part of the fabric here in town. And it's very localized. It's not even a French Canadian thing. There are no Chez Ashtons in Montreal. They've tried. They've failed. They've tried to build Chez Ashtons in Montreal, and it did not work out. The Chez Ashtons are in Quebec City. So for Johnny Depp, this character in this film, to have such a fucking niche joke that literally only the people from Quebec City will understand, I popped huge. That reference was perfect. Even made fun of the fact that French Canadians, they can do the exhale H sound in French doesn't exist, right? Hello, how are you? That doesn't exist. The ha ha. So instead, let's say a Quebecois trying to talk in English, once we get to the exhaled H sounds, we'll sort of like make a hard cut. They'll say, hello, how are you? They'll like cut off the sound, right? And he makes a joke about that. He makes a joke about the about the H's, and then he actually forces himself to do the hello, which every French Canadian does when they're talking to English speakers and they don't want to come off as complete goofs. Then they pull out the full they overemphasize because we can do it naturally. I was so floored at how accurate it was. The only real thing that was inaccurate, I think, is at some point Johnny Depp's character goes to a cabin in the woods, which is and it's written in, the subtitle, the lower third says, gives the location. It says he's in La Chute, which is a town in Quebec, but is quite far from Quebec City. So if he's a detective from Quebec City, he can't just like jump into his car and drive to La Chute, and it takes like 15 minutes. It's a rather substantial distance. But other than that, I thought it was hilarious at how good those references were. It was awesome. I couldn't believe it. The movie itself, I thought was funny. I enjoyed myself. It's grotesque. It's dumb. It's, you know, it's the kind of I can't even call it really a horror movie. It's just like goofy, you know? Like like it's meant to be a horror movie, but it's really not. First of all, it's not scary. And it, you know, it just because it's mostly just stupid, but that good kind of stupid, you know, but there's no like real intrinsic drama, and the finish, the end of the movie is really funny, and I enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So there you go. So basically what I'm saying, Hollywood, if you're listening right now, the working standard for getting Quebecois stuff on the nose in your films is Tusk. You got to go back and you got to watch. You got to learn that. Script writers, screenplay rights. It was like a playwright. There's you know, you're a playwright when you write plays. You're a playwright. So I guess there's screenplay rights when they do screenplays. Anyway, get your act together is what I'm saying, Hollywood. If Kevin Smith could have figured it out, I'm pretty sure you can too. No disrespect to Kevin Smith, but then again, I'm thinking like, you know, if Johnny Depp was improvising most of these lines, then I'm like, oh well, he's probably hung out in Quebec quite a bit because his ex-wife Vanessa Paradis, French pop star. She was huge here. So I'm assuming that probably when they were married, they'd come here, you know, and he'd be like, you know, he's probably been here with her. So, you know, he's probably picked all of that up just hanging around here. Maybe this is all him. And maybe this is all Johnny Depp and I'm giving Kevin Smith way too much credit, which is possible. Anyway, Meggie O'Kenna on the East Coast time zone. Nice to see you, brother. Welcome to the chat. Also, Meggie just happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here. It's good to see you and welcome. Enjoy Warren Hayes at dark. Mr. Antox, nice to see you as well. Means it's time for the monthly post WWE PLE roasting. I didn't watch it. I don't. Anyway, but hang on. But you know, we'll get to it. We'll probably touch on a few things, right? Carlos, Sports and Things shows. Nice to see you as well, and welcome, Craig44, longtime listener, first time live. Hey, that is awesome. You're a member of the chat of the channel. On top of that, that's awesome. I'm glad you're able to catch us live. Thank you, and thank you for listening. Pedro the Fifth, nice to see you too, and welcome. Someone needs to elect a new groundhog because what do you mean 6 more weeks of winter? This is all part of the fascist plot, honestly. It's, you know, Phil, Pakistani Phil, Pakistani Phil, Pikaswani Phil. I can't forget the fucking groundhog. He's probably on full MAGA. That's what it means, and he just wants to make our lives miserable. I left LA with 84 to a crisp 27 in DC. Welcome to the East Coast. What is it? That's exactly it. DGMC, nice to see you as well. Welcome to the chat. Member of the channel on top of that. Do they have running water in Quebec City? No, we don't have to run after it. JD, nice to see you and welcome. Quebecois accent is one of my favorites to talk in. Worked with 3 at one time in a job. One was every bit the stereotype. The other 2 were hilarious and fun. We're fun people to work with, I think. Let's watch some wrestling. Nice to see you, member of the channel. Hey amigos, I had a great weekend watching K-pop Demon Hunters, TMNT Mutant Mayhem, and Bodies. I haven't seen Bodies yet. And rebuilt the leaky toilet. We got date night later, but right now we're locked in. Hey yo, how about that? A date night on Monday. Living large. Is this how the 1% lives? Welcome once again. Let's watch some wrestling. Never forget that Warner Brothers hired Kevin Smith to write a Superman script. That's a bullet dodged. Guy Lapointe is a very Quebec name. Pretty sure there's been 2 NHL players by that name. Well, I think everyone has an uncle around here named Guy Lapointe. Like it really is it is such a classic Quebecois name. It's crazy. I'm telling you, they did their research. They did their research on that. Jay Luthi, welcome to the chat. Also member of the channel. Look at all these members out here tonight. My weekly paint Warhammer while listening to Warren rant time. That's quality. That's quality. I'm so glad I can contribute to your Zen, to your miniature painting. Fun fact: I used to paint miniatures when much younger, when I was a teenager and young adult. We had a hobby shop, of course, downtown that I would frequent quite a bit, called the Dungeon. It was just called straight up the Dungeon, or Le Donjon. And it was in the basement right under the biggest public library in town. And before that, when did they open? I'd say, let's see. I'd say they were open around 87, 88, something like that. And before that, like there really weren't like real deal hobby shops here. Everyone who like played D&D and stuff like that, they'd mostly all get their stuff from Montreal, because that's where everything's in Montreal, right? So when that happened, like it really became, a center of all for all the nerds in town. And they'd even do they do like when new games would arrive, they do demos of the games, new role-playing games like Torg. I don't think anyone remembers Torg, but I was really into Torg and the Palladium game systems and all of that. And of course I played D&D. Shadowrun was another game I liked. Anyway, the point is that I painted miniatures back in the day, and they would hold contests. And the best I did was second place in one of these contests, where I had painted a skeletal dragon. So the idea was to get the bone texture, right? And then it was to get the bone texture and make sure all the joints and whatnot were black enough, that you would really get the contrast, that you could really see the joints. Everyone said, oh, it was really easy, but no, it was actually tricky. It was actually tricky to do like a really nice bone dragon, where all this, because the idea is like, he's been like a dragon for like centuries. So the bones are not like bleached white, like in the sun type of thing. There's been combat, and just, just being worn down because of exposure to the elements and whatnot. So, I tried to do that, and it worked. It worked. It worked really well. I got second place for that one. What did I get? I probably got a gift card. I don't remember. But man, that's how I got into. I played a little bit of Warhammer, and that's how I got into Warhammer, thanks to all of the miniature painting. I played a few times. I had some pals who were nice enough to lend me like some spare armies that they had, because when you're getting started, that was pretty crazy. And then, I mostly painted like just your typical pewter D&D miniatures, wizards and thieves and fighters and barbarians. And then I got one set at one point. So I got one set at one point, which was for the Azure Bonds book series. Does everyone, I don't know how many full-on geeks we have here. The Azure Bonds was a series of novels set in the D&D Forgotten Realms world, right? And it was a fairly known, even if you didn't read the books, you knew what Azure Bonds was because, and I'm going to pull it up here, because the cover of this novel is fucking iconic. And it's iconic for a reason. Don't get me wrong here. And let me show you here. All right. This is why it was so iconic. Now, I had these books. I read these books. I can barely remember them. But the idea was she was some kind of clone, if I'm not mistaken, or some kind of like a homunculus, something to that effect, right? And then you had the guy in the back was the Sorial, which was a race of reptiles that existed in the Forgotten Realms, but that didn't exist in the base rules. You couldn't play as them, at least back in the day. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I got the miniatures for I got the Azure Bonds pewter miniatures, right? And hell yeah, Keenan Murray, you know that. There you go. Now we know what we're talking about. I'm sure I have them. Would they be here? I think they're in my other bookshelf. I know I still have them somewhere. I have all of my fucking fantasy novels somewhere. Anyway, I'm still fairly young, and I'm reading this book, right? And I read all, you know. So I'm reading all of this. So I buy the fucking miniatures. And I'm all excited, and you know, because I'm getting to paint them, and I'm really excited to paint the Sorial because I thought he was really cool. I don't remember his name. It was Dragonbait. That was his name. I was really excited to paint Dragonbait, and then I get to the lady. I can't remember her name. I'm drawing complete blanks, and I promise you guys, like, you know, so, you know, you give it a coat of primer, of course, and the coat of primer goes really, really well. You let it dry, right? And then when I start painting, I'm like, okay, you know, the logical thing to do in this circumstance here would be to paint the flesh color before doing all of the outer layers, because the flesh, because the everything should then feel like it's over the skin. So if you do like the chainmail, let's say, or the cape, and then after you do the you do the flesh tone, well, you know, it might bleed over a little bit, might be a little messy, and it won't give a nice result. So technically speaking, you need to start with the flesh tone. And when I got to the very obvious spot that everyone's been staring at for the past 3 minutes or so, I cannot tell you guys how fucking embarrassed I was to have like a little brush, right? Just have the brush, small, all tapered into a nice, like, into just like a pointed, a soft pointed tip, right? And I'm dipping into the flesh tone, and I'm looking around, making sure my mom's not coming into my room, type of thing. And then I start painting between her boobs, and I'm like, oh, this feels weird. Like I shouldn't be doing this, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember the discomfort I had doing this. And then finally when I was done, I was like, okay. And then when it was time to do the armor itself, I didn't have a problem with, and that's where most of the boob was. But the cleavage, the exposed cleavage there, I had such an issue doing that. I was like, oh, this feels wrong, and I'm like, I hope no one walks in. This is very embarrassing, type of thing. And this book also led this book cover, right? Larry Elmore. Wasn't it Larry Elmore who painted it? I think. This led to multiple conversations, of course, of the efficiency of her chainmail, right? Well, it wasn't. Yeah, was it chainmail? It looks like it was chainmail of her armor, right? Well, like, what's the point in having armor which exposes the middle of your chest, right? Like, what's the point? You're essentially giving everyone the target. It's so and it's huge. Like, it's a big fucking target right there. I don't think anyone really understood why this worked. I mean, look, it was fantasy. This is what it was, right? It was. She wasn't wearing this for truly utilitarian purposes. It was the high fantasy thing. I can't remember her name. Hey, Motown Slim, nice to see you, brother. It's been a while. Member of the channel, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. I gotta remember her name. I can't remember her name. Azure Bonds. It was Dragon Bait, right? Finders Elias. Jesus Christ. That's what I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember Elias. Anyway, yeah, but wasn't she like a clone or something? She was like some kind of magical. That's like some kind of clone or a homunculus or like an advanced golem. That's what she was ultimately. That was the thing. It was all a thing about identity and whatnot, and Dragon Bait was her best friend. Here we go. I painted miniatures a while back, so I can appreciate some good miniature work, as I've done it before and been slammed by people much better than I mean, you know, second place one time is good, I guess, you know. It's like it wasn't the first time I was competing, but I did like I should stop talking about this, but I like the base. I had taken the skeletal dragon off of its base, and I had made my own base out of a small piece of plywood, and then I spray painted it with I used some spray glue, and made the bottom with dirt, with actual dirt, and then I put in moss and some stones. Like I created a little diorama, I guess. The dragon being out in the wild. I enjoyed that. Fuck yo mama, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Shadowrun is right. I like Shadowrun a lot. Shadowrun was a lot of fun. It was such a good idea too. Is it still around? Is the game still around? I feel like if there was a time for it to come back, I feel this would be good. 20th anniversary cover edition, so it's probably publication. It's 6th World. It's very good. It's like fantasy cyberpunk. It was very good. I enjoyed it tremendously. We had a lot of fun playing Shadowrun. Hey, Conrad of the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the chat. Hey, that chainmail worked wonders. Yeah, for what? I mean, for a bunch of reasons, right? Maybe not necessarily in combat, but hey, you know. They go by Elijah now. Boo. Boo. This is a profile of a serial killer. Have you never had hobbies, you weirdo? Jeez, a man can't have hobbies in 2026 without the expectation that people will get murdered. Hey, welcome everyone. You talking Shadowrun War Warren? You need to recognize it's Resident Evil month. Is it coming out this month? I'm very curious to see how it goes. I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil series. My favorite Resident Evil is Resident Evil 4. It's just the most fun game. Silver Apocalypse. Nice to see you as well. Welcome to the chat. That's my favorite. And then Resident Evil 3. Those are still my standards. But holy shit, if Village wasn't great though. I fucking loved Village. What was that one? That was 7? That was the revival, right? That was the revival. I fucking love Resident Evil games. But I'm a cheap ass gamer and I'm gonna wait till it comes on sale. 8 is Village. Well, what was 7? It's 7 the one I'm thinking of then. Okay, so it's not Village. And it's 7 I'm thinking of. The one with the old man with the family. When the homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. Biohazard. Okay. That's the one I'm thinking of. Resident Evil 7. So Village is the one with Lady Dimitrescu. The Lady Dimitrescu. Lady Dimitrescu. I was very disappointed that she was like a stage boss. I was very, very disappointed that she didn't stick around the whole game. Unlike Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. Shout out to Keanu Reeves for not just coming into work, saying a couple of lines and being like available at the start of the game and at the end of the game. Keanu Reeves is in the entire fucking game. And even when you're doing dopey little side quests, he's still there, dropping lines. Put on a hell of a show. I got to tell you, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand, fucking A. That was tremendous. Kristen Ashley. Hello, darling. Member of the channel on top of that. How are you? Are you telling me to retire? No. I'm not telling anyone to retire. He's breathtaking. He is breathtaking. And it's funny because when you fool around with the in-game camera and then you can give your character, you can give preset poses to your character. One of them is legitimately your breathtaking pose that he did at the E3 stage that one year. Keanu as Johnny Silverhand, greater than Keanu as Neo in Matrix Resurrection. I mean, Johnny Silverhand is, it's weird to say, but he's a much more fleshed out character than Neo. Because, he's got a past and he's an asshole and he's got all these quirks about him and personality defects. I mean, sure, he's a much more fleshed out character. Never forget that Keanu was attached to the Cowboy Bebop movie until everyone realized that it cost way too much fucking money to make. And to this day, I still think that probably saved us from a disaster. I still don't think. Look, they tried to do the Cowboy Bebop on Netflix live action. What was it, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago at this point? And it didn't work. No need to remake something as glorious as fucking Cowboy Bebop. It's like, not remake, but live action it. No reason. It's like trying to do, it's like if you decided to do Akira, right? They've been trying to do Akira for years. It's not going to happen. Well, it probably will happen, but it's not going to be as good. It's not going to be a triumph like Akira was. Kind of like Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop on Netflix was a psyop. I'm convinced we were all under a spell. Yeah. It feels so long ago. I thought the movie script was good, and the guy who wrote the Batman did it. Not great picks for director, though. I mean, I think everyone dodged a bullet on that one. I think everyone dodged a bullet. We don't need to live action Cowboy Bebop. We really fucking don't. Just watch the fucking anime. Just watch the anime. It is brilliant. Yes, and leave Akira alone. Jesus Christ. Not sure why I'm thinking about this, but did you hear that did you hear there's going to be a McDonald's caviar kit for Valentine's Day? McDonald's caviar before GTA 6? Excuse me? Hang on. We're getting to the wrestling, folks, okay? Like, we'll get there. Bear with me. McDonald's, oh God, okay. Is this a press release? And this was released today. Okay, breaking news, folks. We're going to read a McDonald's press release here. McDonald's debuts exclusive McNugget caviar just in time for Valentine's Day at no cost to fans. Fans of what? Of McNugget? Jesus fucking Christ. Look at this. The Golden Arches partners with Paramount Caviar to offer online only limited edition McNugget caviar kits, exclusively dropping at McNugget Caviar on Tuesday, February 10. To be known is to be loved, and we know our fans love pairing our crispy chicken McNuggets with their favorite caviar. Why? They know this? There's been market research on this? Inspired by this part, I enjoy caviar as much as the next person, and never have I said, God damn, this would pair great with 6 nuggies, with 6 cheeky nuggies. Inspired by this perfect match, I mean, this is all tongue in cheek, right? It has to be. Inspired by this perfect match, we're dropping our first ever McNugget caviar kits featuring premium berry sturgeon caviar on February 10, exclusively available online. After all, nothing says ILY quite like a limited drop from McDonald's just in time for your Valentine's Day plan, and the best part, it's on us. We've teamed up with our friends at Paramount Caviar to offer a premium product at a price, that's a lot of alliteration there, that only McDonald's can, free of charge. Each kit includes everything you need for an upscale yet effortless celebration. A 1-ounce tin of McNugget caviar, $25 arch card for plenty of, is that what they call the fucking, is that what they call the gift cards in the US? Arch cards for plenty of chicken McNuggets, plus creme fraiche and a mother of pearl caviar to top it all off. The kits drop at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, February 10, exclusively at McNuggets Caviar, and supplies are limited, so act fast. I am deathly curious now. I am deathly curious. This is probably just available in the US, right? Holy shit. This site is going to crash. Because you know all the TikTokers are going to be all over this. They're going to be all over this. I would, honestly, I would love to try it. I would love to try this. I would love to get some of this caviar, this McDonald's caviar, and then just like give it a shot. Let's see what let's see what McDonald's caviar tastes like on a chicky nuggy along with creme fraiche. Jesus. It's the height of haute cuisine, folks. The chairman the chairman, the Iron Chefs could have never thought of this one. They never thought of this one. Iron Chef Sakai never came up with this one. Now, Sakai would have been, oh yeah, that's it. Sakai would have been the guy, right? The French chef would have been the guy probably. Or maybe Morimoto. He did the fusion cuisine stuff, the fusion Japanese and whatever. Motherfucker. So stupid. All right. Look, we're going to talk about wrestling here. I'm Warren. Thank you for being here. Leave a like on this stream right now, or else I'll find you and I will hurt you. I won't hurt you. I'll hug you, and you probably will not want the hug. So leave a like here on the video, on the stream. Of course, it's a usual week here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. We are going to have the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast release on Wednesday, the AEW Dynamite review on Thursday, of course, and then back with another stream later on in the evening. There's a Stardom show. There's a big Stardom show. I believe it's this weekend. I could be wrong because I thought last weekend the New Beginning show in New Japan. I was like, nope, it was not. It was the Royal Rumble. So if that happens, if there is a big Stardom show this weekend, your boy's gonna watch it, and he's gonna review it, and that review is going to be available for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel first and foremost, and then to the rest of the plebes. But if you want to get in on that early, if you want early access to my reviews in general and any extra recording content that I do and that is not live, well, you can become a member, join the channel, and you'll have early access to all that great stuff. Should I get some? I'll mail it to you so it gets that extra seasoning. Caviar actually keeps quite well. That's the thing. It's not a difficult thing to keep. I would honestly, I would really like to try that. This is something that has me deeply curious. I would really like to give that a try. Not gonna lie. AW1, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also another member of the channel, so that is great for you and great for me and great for everybody. Are you sure they didn't accidentally leak their April Fool's joke 2 months early? It sounds unreasonable, but here we are. Here we are. Anyway, so, well, look, let's get a little palate cleanser. We got a little palate cleanser, courtesy of our boy, Jacques, who probably also enjoys caviar with a name like Jacques.
I'm a nunchuck master.
He's got
to. I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! Patrick, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also, a member of the channel. This always drives Patrick out of his working state. He's always there. He cannot resist a good hoo-yah. Doug puts caviar on Big Mac. He orders his quarter pounders as a Royale with cheese. And that is actually a real thing from Pulp Fiction. They are called a Royale in France. Not here, though. Here it's on Quart de Livre. Quarter pounder. Un quart d'olive avec fromage. That's how you order it. I haven't ordered a quarter pounder with cheese in such a long fucking time now. Do you still have to ask for the cheese? Or is it just like by default now? Can you still get a quarter pounder without the cheese? And that's weird, and I feel it defeats the purpose. Any McDonald's aficionados who can help me out can settle this once and for all in my brain. Can you still order a quarter pounder without the cheese? Do you have to ask for the cheese? No one seems to know. No one goes to McDonald's anymore? Or no one orders quarter pounders anymore? Is that the thing? Everyone would just waits. They order the McRib. They just wait for the McRib to come out. You can do the quarter pounder without cheese. Really? Really, really, really? He's leaving, is he? Not surprised. But still, that's big news. You have a link for me? We'll throw it on the docket because we do have a little bit of contract talk tonight. So, Hikaru, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And this is our docket for tonight, gentle folks. I want to start the stream tonight. Yes, thank you. Please do put it in the Discord. I want to start off tonight talking about Tommaso Ciampa and that great episode of Collision. And you'll see I'm going to tie into a few things here, but this is significant news enough. Tommaso Ciampa wrestles his first match in AEW and wins the TNT Championship off of Mark Briscoe. Despite hitting, I'm reading this article off of the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online. Despite hitting multiple psycho drillers on Briscoe, Ciampa was unable to keep him down for the 3 count. However, in the end, Ciampa finished the match by hitting Briscoe with the running knee strike in a tremendous final sequence, by the way. Following the match, the new champion was showered with a "You deserve it" chant from fans. It was also noted by the announcers that Ciampa has now become the second ever AEW wrestler after Mercedes Moné to win a title in their debut match. Soon after the match, former champion Kyle Fletcher also shared his intentions of going after Ciampa's new gold. Fletcher showed up at the end after the match and stood at the top of the ramp, gave the old stare down, gave the old cue to Tommaso here, telling him, "Listen, brother, I am next." Ciampa, 40, is a former WWE NXT champion, a 2-time WWE Tag Team champion, and a 1-time WWE NXT Tag Team champion. He has also competed across multiple promotions and won titles, most notably the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Phenomenal match. I thought this match was so fucking good. I think in my little rating system, I gave it like 4.25 stars. I thought it was such a good match. Just brutal, just a good old fashioned brutal wrestling match, where the guys are just laying it all out there. They're working hard. They're sweating. They're doing all sorts of moves. They're striking each other. They're dropping each other hard. And it's so good. And Mark Briscoe, once again, another excellent TV match. Mark Briscoe, week after week, nonstop, just coming out, just having these excellent matches time and time again. And here ends up dropping the title to Tommaso Ciampa, and I don't have a problem with that. I really, I don't have a problem with that. Because look, I think I don't have a problem with that. Like if Tony brought Tommaso Ciampa in, he was like, look, you know what? We're going to do something with you that we haven't done with anyone else. That's tremendous, right? That we're going to, you're going to come in and, you know, like the article said, the only other person that ever benefited from a title victory on the first match in the company is Mercedes Moné. So it's not as if it's something that happens frequently in AEW, but Tony was like, okay, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just go. Out the gate, Ciampa, you win, you challenge, you win. And now, you know, you get to be a bit of a workhorse here moving forward. And we have to say, I don't objectively, right? The entire Tommaso Ciampa entrance, presentation, everything that they have done with this guy in only 1 week has been so spot on, has been so fucking good. It's been so incredibly good. His debut was not only a surprise, but was good. When he showed up on Dynamite last week, it was tremendous. People lost their minds. Internet lost their minds. Like, you know, I don't think anyone, it didn't feel like Tommaso Ciampa going to AEW was a lock, you know? I think a lot of people wanted that, but I don't think anyone was like, oh, he absolutely has to go. Like, this is, you know, going to happen. It's in the cards. I didn't see it that way personally. So he has like this incredible week, and now he's a star already. He's positioned as a guy that that people will have to have a time to defeat. You know what I mean? Like now that, you know, Ciampa arrives, is positioned as a big deal. He comes in, wins a title on his first match. Everyone else after is going to be chasing this guy, and he's positioned as a badass, as a tough guy, as a big strong dude who's going to be a danger on this roster, and I think that's tremendous. And I think one of the reasons why this has been so successful is because of how this kind of breaks away from Tony Khan's his most regular booking trope, which is bring a guy in and then have him lose until it's time to push him. And there's been multiple people like that he has brought in and has put through the ringer, losing matches, but then eventually, gets a proper push and then people are excited about it. Like, this is so unconventional Tony Khan in this circumstance. I think it takes everyone by surprise. It breaks the patterns that Tony has established for himself, right? So I'm all for it. I adore. I demand nothing less, or nothing more, I should say. I don't expect anything more. What am I trying to say? I really like it. How about that? I really like it when I'm surprised in pro wrestling. I like it when the things that I think I know and I think I understand are rattled, where I'm like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. I was not expecting this. The unexpected in pro wrestling is, well, as you know, like it's one of the great joys of pro wrestling, the unexpected, whether it's a debut, a victory, whatnot. That's one of the great things. And I like it. I like it when this kind of stuff happens. But nonetheless, it gets me thinking. I'm like, and here, bear with me here, okay? I'd like to hear from you, Chad, if you think this is absolutely insane or what. There are whispers, okay? There are whispers going on right now that TKO, is sending out contract renewals to whoever's coming up and whatnot. And a lot of people right now are getting lowballed by TKO. And there are a lot of people who are looking at the numbers that are on their contracts currently, and the numbers that TKO is sending out as a renewal. And they're wondering, these people are scratching their chins and going, I wonder how much I could get in AEW. These are whispers, okay? I don't have any names. I don't know of anyone, but there are certain circumstances here that there's enough whispering going around for me to take notice, where it's like, okay, I'm hearing this quite a bit. There's probably a little smoke to this fire. And that there's people out there in WWE that are questioning whether they should stay or go. And from what I understand, a couple of surprising names, couple of names that you're like, oh, this person would leave WWE? Really? That kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering, if this type of situation here, that bringing in Tommaso Ciampa at a very good price, by the way, because I think Ciampa said, of course I didn't pull it up on the docket, but I read something, and I just can't remember if it's Ciampa who said it himself or if it's a report, but I think it's a report. It's probably from Dave, right? Or Alvarez, whatever. I think I read a report saying that Ciampa was willing to stay in WWE, that he was hoping he could stay, but AEW made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And you're like, okay. So I'm questioning. I'm just asking myself, is Tony Khan simply creating a precedent here for a guy like Tommaso Ciampa and other guys and gals who might be wondering, scratching their chins and going, do I resign or do I go to AEW? Is Tony Khan just showing all of these people who might be, deep in thought as to what their next move might be? Is he just showing them, hey, we'll take care of you here. We'll give you good money. And, might have a little fun in the meantime. You might enjoy yourself here. Now, of course, that's all exciting and fun, right? Because, you've got names popping into your head and you're like, oh my God, what if this guy and this girl? And, what if? But the one thing we as wrestling fans don't want is for AEW to become the dumping ground for WWE talent that TKO doesn't want to pay for anymore. Right? That's the other thing. Don't want it to become, a TNA back in the day. We don't want to revert to a situation where we have to deal with WWE malcontents because they thought the grass would be so much greener because they thought they'd be treated like world champions, right? And then you end up with guys like Rusev and Malachi Black and Andrade who just end up being miserable and just want to leave, So maybe this is this kind of message he's saying. He being Tony Khan. Maybe he's just, showing off, flexing a little bit, saying, look at this guy here that I just made champion as he entered my promotion. This could be you. And I'm saying this, but then again, we need to nuance, right? Everything is a question of timing in professional wrestling. There's always a question of being at the right place at the right time. And I think Tommaso Ciampa, to be able to benefit so strongly like this and become an instant champion on his first match in AEW, I think that is a benefit of him being at the right place at the right time, where there's a little discontent, in regards to WWE booking. There's some openings that are being created in AEW for new talent, for new opportunities. And he's a guy that wrestling fans in general, as it is pointed out in the chat, feel was completely and utterly misused in his time on the main roster. So is this a situation where Ciampa is just got his release at the absolute perfect time, where Tony Khan, Ring of Honor fan, Tony Khan, of course, let's not forget, sees Tommaso Ciampa and is like, hey, I want this guy to work for me. And then at the same time, like I said, just shows that the grass is indeed greener here. Which is a fine strategy. But I think we cannot expect, I think that from this point on, you can't expect anyone else that Tony Khan picks up from WWE in the future to get this kind of treatment. I don't think this is a template, is what I'm saying. Because I think Tommaso Ciampa was just the guy at the right moment, right? It's kind of like Jon Moxley when he was available, right? It just so happened his contract with WWE was coming up when this AEW thing was taking off. Because who knows what Jon Moxley would be doing in 2018 when his contract was coming up. 2019 when it was 18 when it was coming up, right? If I'm not mistaken. Christ, I listened to the I listened to the audiobook of his autobiography not that long ago, and I had read it even before that. So I think that, I hope I'm making myself clear, is that Tommaso Ciampa is just the guy who benefits. Like, he'll be the first of maybe a string of hires or people leaving at the very least who will be able to benefit from an AEW hire. That's how I should put it. He was the first in a string of recent, he will be the first of a string of recent releases or upcoming releases from WWE who will benefit from an entry into AEW. I don't think there will be exceptions, We'll talk about one of them coming up soon, but not everyone's going to be treated like a really big deal when they come into the company. At some point, that's just not sustainable. And you're building an entire promotion with your own stars and whatnot. Like, that's just not sustainable. So I can't help but think that this is implicitly, or maybe explicitly, a message that he's sending out to any WWE talent who's thinking of coming over to AEW. It's like, look, you can make good money, really good money, and have a little fun in the process. Because wasn't that your problem under Paul Levesque? You weren't having fun anymore because you weren't being used. Isn't that part of it? So there you go. Look, overall, in this specific Tommaso Ciampa spot, that's kind of how I'm vibing it right now. That's how I feel. And look, if Ciampa wrestles every match like he did on Saturday, I have no issues. Like, this is like, I have no problems with him being around. Like, he was incredibly solid and precise. Like, he's always been a very good professional wrestler. I've always I haven't seen him wrestle in a long time, particularly post neck fusion surgery. I haven't. So I don't know what he looked like. I don't know how he could pull this off. I have no idea. I had no idea. So I was thrilled to see what he was able to do. And then and I, you know, it's a great, I think he's he can be a great addition to the roster, adding to an already incredible upper mid card. This is all very good. And I've seen some people say, oh, I wanted Mark Briscoe to have a long reign with the TNT title. And I'm like, why? Why? No, like, no. Really, it doesn't matter. Like these mid-card titles. This is why we bemoan the trios titles being the second most protected title in the company, it feels. Just have people pass them around. Just pass the title around. It's fine. It's a mid-card title. This is what it's for. And it should be lost. It should be defended and lost on TV. It's a fucking TV title. It has the name of the network on it. So, you know, like, more of this, actually. This is fine. Mark Briscoe deserves a long time. Mark Briscoe is going to be great, title or not. Like, you know, I understand that for a lot of fans, this is very, you know, it's very significant to get that their favorites get title shots and that they're recognized as really top tier champions. But, you know, not every title has to be discussed like the world championship in a company. The world championship is something else. All of this stuff, you're making guys, you're creating stories, you're creating opportunities for people to wrestle each other. This is what these mid-card titles are for. Gotta stop pretending that if she doesn't have this extensive reign, it was a failure. Jesus Christ. Great collision, by the way. The opener with Clark Connors and Darby Allin was fucking awesome. And Clark Connors was so alive in this match. He was so into it. Completely animated. And I thought he looked better here than he had been for months in New Japan. He's motivated. Him throwing, look, it was the classic Darby throw me around match, right? That's what it was. And it's fine because I love those matches because Darby's nuts. So it's fine. And when Connors just like shoulder blocks him off of his skateboard, I popped huge. That was amazing. He looked really good. At the end of the show, I was like, that guy wrestled like he wanted a job. and the rumor going around is that there's two conflicting reports, but they're all going down the same path. There's one report that says he signed with AEW, and the other report is he's not signed yet, but it's going to happen. It's just it's not a question of whether Clark Connors is going to be a part of the AEW roster or not. It's just a question of when. Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen later? I'm so happy. Like, I'm really glad if this Clark Connors sticks around. You know, the Clark Connors that we got towards the end there in New Japan with with Tire-san and all that. I was like, this is all bullshit. This is all dumb. This sucks. This really sucks because there was a while Maloney and Connors, before Maloney went heavyweight, Connors and Maloney were a great tag team. They both were great. And Connors, I don't know, like he always had trouble finding his footing really to get himself over. And now on his first night, well, it's his second match in AEW, okay, but his Collision debut? Listen, he gets on TV after a prolonged absence, right? And he's going after Darby Allin, and he looks great. And then they create the connection with Gabe Kidd, right? They create the connection with Gabe Kidd that they're in the same group in New Japan, you know, the War Dogs, now the Unbound Co. Yes, I know the logo's terrible. I agree. And so they're working together here because Gabe is not done with Darby, and I'm like, okay, that's a cool little connection there. Makes the match seem a little less random. I like it. So you know, Gabe Kidd, it's a question of time, fellas. I think we're all aware, aren't we? Anyway, good for Clark Connors. And look, it was just I talk about it often these past few weeks on the Dynamite review, which you should listen to if you don't. But every time, not every time, but these past few weeks, ever since we've started the new year, the post World's End AEW has been so fucking good. It's been so good. Excellent Dynamite after excellent Dynamite after excellent Dynamite. I'm sitting down and I'm saying, it's another great one. Off to a great start. And then in the meantime, Collision has just been killing it. And look at the through line. The through line on both shows is lots of wrestling. 6-7 matches on both shows. Dynamite, you need a little more of the sports entertainment. You got to have a little more of the backstage stuff. You got to get the in-ring promos. You need a little more of that because that's how they designed their flagship show to be. All right, I get that. But the shows are not compromising on the wrestling in any way, shape, or form. And this is a great and excellent move by Tony Khan to do this at a moment where WWE fans are starting to be disenfranchised with the product, with Paul Levesque's booking. Again, you had the Saudi crowd chanting, "You fucked up, we want Vince, AEW," and so on and so forth. They did that again at the post-show presser when Triple H came out. And this is a market that technically should be co-opted by WWE, right? But they're doing this again. Like there is a wave of discontent right now in WWE by WWE fans. What is the best possible thing you can do as the alternative, as the competition? What is the best thing you can do then? Well, it's simple. Put your best foot forward. And AEW's best foot forward is professional wrestling. It's focusing on the matches. That's what they do best. So instead of trying to do whatever the fuck TNA is doing to try and carve some market share out, instead they're focusing on the one thing that WWE cannot touch them on, and that is great bell-to-bell in-ring action. And they've been focusing on putting on all sorts of matches week after week. Last Thursday Thursday was what I did the review, but last Wednesday felt so good. There were different people in the mix. There was a lot of stuff going on. It felt like a rejuvenated AEW. And guess what? They're scoring high in the ratings. We don't do much ratings talk here. We just point out the obvious when other people point out the obvious for us. But their best overall rating, like in 4 months, I read something like that. The measure of success for AEW, or the secret to the success of AEW, has never been a mystery. It's always been offer something different than WWE. Do something different than the market leader. And whenever AEW does that, whenever they do something that is markedly different than what WWE does, it is crowned with success. And when they try to be WWE light, it flops. It fails. They lose viewership. They lose pay-per-view buys. But then the opposite happens when they focus on what they are absolutely excellent in doing. This Collision was that as well. Adam Priest versus Konosuke Takeshita. Excuse me, I had Takeshita on the brain clearly. Kazuchika Okada and Adam Priest, a match which ostensibly I was sitting down and was like, well, here's a squash for Okada. And I was going, on Adam Priest, because I like Adam Priest. And I want Adam Priest to become a guy in AEW. I want Adam Priest to become a guy in AEW. I want him to stop slumming around on Ring of Honor and come up into the big leagues, okay? And that match turned out to be an absolute fucking great time. It was so good. And Okada gave a lot. And Adam Priest was just played his role perfectly. And he was so good. Of course, he lost. I don't think that was ever in contention. But what a fun match that was. Collision, man. It's just consistently easy to watch, in and out pro wrestling. It's fun times. Another successful show. AEW is in a good spot right now. It's in a very good spot. And it's in a good spot. We've had this discussion before. Wrestling is cyclical. There's always cycles, right? So we're slowly going into another cycle. Where essentially when WWE doesn't do as well, then everything else does. In the past, when WWE wouldn't do well, the indies would flourish. That would be the thing, right? You'd have the independent circuit that would get a big boon. People would search for Ring of Honor more, and a lot of people got into New Japan Pro Wrestling. The business benefits when WWE is in a slump, and you can already feel it. Like for WrestleMania week this year, you can already feel like there's a lot more effervescence and interesting things happening. I feel like this year, WrestleMania week, more people are going to be jacked in than in previous years. And why? Because the market leader's not doing as great. Again, I'm not saying that they're in the shithole, far from it, with the fucking amount of money they make. But we're in a cycle. Slowly. And then WWE, when WWE doesn't do well, everything else gets lifted. So enjoy it, wrestling fans. Enjoy till the next cycle. All right. I talked a lot there. I talked more than I expected, quite frankly. Anyway, good for Tommaso Ciampa, too. I still can't get over the dude's name being Drilla Maloney. Well, I still haven't got... Why not just Dan? Dan Maloney. What's wrong with Dan Maloney? That actually sounds like a guy who will kick your ass in a bar. Why? Just call yourself Dan. What's this Drilla stuff? I never quite got it. New Japan fans are going to be so chill about Connors going to AEW. Here's the thing. Most New Japan fans will not care because a lot of them had already crossed out the War Dogs. They were like, it doesn't matter. Let them all leave. They're not big enough stars. So I don't think there's going to be that much pushback. There's always an air of discontent, but every once in a while, those fans aren't cowards and actually do something about it. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if Triple H doesn't do, if WWE stops doing their pay-per-view post shows after, in front of audiences after. I wouldn't be surprised in the least. I wouldn't be surprised that Paul Levesque, the thinnest skinned man alive, after 2 back-to-back post shows being booed, and then the Saturday night's main event thing. I don't think he can handle it. I don't think his ego can handle it. Thinnest skinned man alive. I wouldn't be surprised if they stop. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to do it, but Paul Levesque doesn't show up. Or Paul Levesque shows up via satellite or something. He's in the same building like he was in Gorilla calling the whole show. I really wonder if running Ciampa was a real masterstroke. I'd like to see the numbers because I noticed a lot of people on social media saying my first time watching AEW after. There's been a lot of more and more of those, haven't there been? A lot of content creators as well. You know, what content creators I mean, like, the reaction people, the people who do the watch parties and then go, those, and don't, just talk about what they saw. There's no analysis. There's nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fine. It's just like, it's empty content. I guess there's a way to do it where you feel like you've got to, the idea, I guess, is that, you're like watching it with a friend, right? With your really cool and attractive friend. That's pretty much it. Because there's some of them, man. some of these content creators, these wrestling content creators, they've got some god awful takes and thoughts on pro wrestling. That's just like, no, thank you. We're good now. I think Collision has become slightly more Dynamite-ish as far as having a few more talking segments and storyline angles. I agree. I completely agree with that. It's you see a lot of the talent. It's enough in many circumstances. It's talent that you could also see on Dynamite who have previously been featured on Dynamite quite a bit, and we're still, giving them airtime here as well. And I also like how Dynamite is used to build angles for Collision, right? And I think that's a part that a lot of people don't talk enough about, where it's like, look, it's not as if AEW indeed treats Collision like the B show, because they're using the A show to create angles and stories and matches for the B show. And the prime example is this guy right here. He showed up on Dynamite and he got his title on he won his title on Collision. D. Owens, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. It was the ratings, the Dynamite ratings were the best since the big panel, big data era. There we go. MJF haters having a roughy time. They're very, very quiet these days, especially seeing Max going around, hitting the indies as hard as he is, when he really doesn't have to. It's like people forget how much Max MJF loves pro wrestling. They seem to think that he really is an asshole in real life, but they seem to forget just how much this guy really fucking loves pro wrestling. He really does. And he wants to give back. And he's still in his mid-20s. And he's already in this position where he's like, yeah, no, I can be a wind of change type of guy here. Look, this has always been a pro MJF podcast, so you're not going to see me coming out here trashing what the guy is doing unless it is explicitly bad. After a shit show like the Rumble, you see a WWE wrestler that was treated like a clown debuting like black and gold never left. True. I know. Gets you jazzed. We are not squashing a former DPW world champion. No, brother. I would only wish that was the reason. That was the reason that Adam Priest got a competitive match in. That crossed a commercial. Will Davis, nice to see you. Will, welcome to the chat. You member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel, you? Only in Saudi Arabia can a hunter get AEW chance in a country that doesn't even have AEW on TV. What a guy. He's special. He's a special man. Dude used to be a wrestler. You'd think he could handle some booze. BOOS, not the... I mean, this is the guy. I know you all know the story by now, but this is the guy who insisted that I can't remember. You are all going to remind me what video game it was, but in the press press copy, in the press kits sent out to video game reviewers back in the day, there were specific requests asking that Triple H not be shown in a position of weakness. He always had to be beating up someone else or winning or so on and so forth. And there's this one outlet that did it, wasn't it? I think it was Fighting Game. I think it was Fighting Spirit magazine. I think, wasn't it FSM? Like it wasn't a video game outlet. It was FSM, and they got like the review copy of the game, and they put Kane beating the piss out of Triple H in there, and then the editor in chief who allowed that to go through lost his job. I may be misremembering, but Triple H requesting that video game reviewers, video game publications not post any pictures of Triple H looking weak is absolutely preposterous. SmackDown versus Raw 2009. There you go. That's the one. I'll take your word for it. I can't remember. There were AEW chants at the Rumble? Hell yeah. At the post show. You know, when they do the post show with the crowd behind, you know, Rosenberg and Big E and I don't even know who the new girl is. The new girl, and then they have the guest and they have the audience behind them. And boy, oh boy, they heckled the fuck out of Triple H. Anyway. That was a substantial topic, and I've got more substantial topics. That was just square one. That was just square one. We have to talk about AJ Styles again. AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on this weekend, this past Saturday. What was it? The 31st? It was the 31st, January 31st. A Royal Rumble that I did not watch. I didn't watch the entire thing. I didn't lay any peepers on it. And that's okay. I'm very proud of myself. I haven't watched a Royal Rumble in a couple of years. A Royal Rumble but like from everything that I've heard, particularly from people that I trust, a Royal Rumble that was very, very mid and are no longer fun. This is what a lot of people, longtime wrestling fans, have been telling me. The Rumbles are no longer fun, apparently. And I remember there was a time that the Royal Rumbles every year were a ton of fun, right? It's been a few years that you keep hearing that. Now it's no more fun. It's not fun. You get the surprises, but you can't always get surprises. That's not how you make the Royal Rumble fun. That's how you elevate it, I guess. But it's not how they say fun. Anyway, that same Royal Rumble, outside of the Royal Rumble matches in which Powerhouse Hobbs debuted as Royce Keys, which, by the way, we have to underscore the fact that Royce Keys has jumped onto the main roster, leapfrogging Ricky Saints. I find that really funny. I just find that funny. But I'm worming my way to the topic here. So at this same Royal Rumble, which was won by Roman Reigns, and the women's was won by Gianna Daddio. That's her name, right? Is it Gianna? It's Gianna, right? Gianna Daddio. Liv Morgan. On this same show, Gunther retired AJ Styles in a career versus, no stakes at all. That's really funny to me. That's really, really funny to me. It will never not be funny to me that this match was set up and the only stakes was AJ Styles' career, and Gunther's like, win or lose, I don't give a shit. Like, even if I lose, there's no real consequence for me. So AJ Styles hit the bricks. He's gone. He's history from World Wrestling Entertainment. And now the rumors are circulating. Already had been circulating, but now they're circulating even harder as to whether or not he truly is done with professional wrestling. An emotional AJ Styles puts his gloves back on after hearing the support from the fans, and so on and so forth. And it's been known for months that the 48-year-old Styles would be retiring at some point in 2026. If this is the end, his final match came rather abruptly. That's putting it nicely. Gunther used underhanded tactics to beat Styles when they faced off in the January 12 episode of Raw. WWE then ran an angle where Gunther forced Styles to put his career on the line in order to get a rematch. And Gunther, who has been nicknamed the career killer by WWE, has already retired both Goldberg and John Cena before defeating Styles today. And he's probably going to do it to Rey Mysterio. He's probably going to do it to Randy Orton, which will probably come up maybe sooner than we think. That's what they're gonna. That's what they're gonna do, right? That's his shtick now. So now the speculation is running wild, right? You even have, Paul Levesque, Triple H. He's saying, "Oh no, man, this guy's done. He's finished as an in-ring wrestler." During the post show, while he was being heckled by the Riyadh crowd, WWE COO said that based on conversations he had with Styles, he had made it clear the Royal Rumble was it for him when it came to being an in-ring competitor. This is a quote from Paul Levesque. "Well, obviously, we expected it later in the year. We had a lot of conversations about it. AJ is one of those people that absolutely wants to give back and be a part of this business. I don't want to speak for him, but the conversations that he had with me, he made it very clear that he was just done with the in-ring. There's a point where you just reach in your career. I'll get it right. There's a point where you just reach in your career where you say, I don't want to do this anymore. And when your heart goes, no matter how good you are, he hasn't lost a step." I'm choking on my impersonation. "But when you say, I'm just at a place where I don't want to do this anymore, it's time before you get hurt, before you get told you're not allowed to do this anymore. I think he was there. So on behalf of President Trump, are you..." No, that last part's not in there. That last part was a little improv. That was a little off the cuff. A little something just off the bean. Pew! It's coming right at you. You never saw it coming. Woo! Can I get a location and a color, please? No, that's fine. I mean, do you really think, there's people pointing to this and going, see? Paul Levesque said he was done. Are you really going to try to convince me, right, that Paul Levesque is going to say, oh no, he's not done, he's going to go wrestle elsewhere? Even if that's the case, he's not going to say it. Whatever this statement is just unreliable because Paul Levesque is an unreliable narrator. Just as simple as that. So, he's pushing for saying, AJ Styles should go to NXT and all that stuff. To coach, right? Not to wrestle. Now, there have been no reports out there in regards to what AJ Styles is going to do next. Okay. But there have been people that have connections to AEW who have been whispering things, again with the whispers, but these are not reports, right? This is all like stuff that's going around. But again, I've heard it from enough different places that there might be a through line here, but you have to consider everything that we're about to talk about here as a rumor. Because look, I've heard from, and it's out there, right? Like it's not even like super secret stuff. Like you can go listen to Joe Lanza. He talks about AJ Styles and the reporting, the stuff that he's heard. He talked about it openly on one of his podcast recordings. So it's not like something, it's out there. And this is like I tell you guys, I don't want to break news. I want to talk about the broken news. I want to talk about the news once it's broken. And again, this isn't even news. Like this is just rumors, but I think that, look, this is what we've heard. We've heard either that, either AJ Styles is considering to go to AEW, or that he's going to be very, very loyal and stick to his guns, because loyalty is one of his strongest attributes. Look, only someone completely and deeply loyal would have stuck with TNA as long as he did, with all the various nonsense over the years that he had to deal with specifically. So there might be a bit of loyalty that's keeping him from going, or he's actually considering going. Again, the rumors that I've heard have said that there is an offer that was made by Tony Khan, and it is in AJ Styles' hands. And it is up to AJ. Okay? I think there's even people who said, they're just waiting on AJ to call back. Like that's where we're at right now. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of people who are wondering what would be the next move here. Of course, I think it is safe to say that Tony Khan is going to throw everything he can at old Allen here to try and get him into his company. Because, you've heard the things like, look, AJ Styles has said it publicly multiple times. No, I think I'm done. I'm retiring, done with wrestling. He's even said, at some point he'd like to get a coaching job and whatnot, right? But at some point, everybody has a price. And I think ultimately what we should expect is for Tony Khan to just empty out the bank to bring AJ Styles into AEW and have the matches that I think every AEW fan wants to see. Like we were kidding around with this on the last stream, right? But Will Ospreay is calling Tony every day. He's like, "Did you sign him yet, mate?" Says, "No, Will. Oh, you'll be the first to know," kind of thing. Click, And that's a match that Will Ospreay 100% wants. I think there's a lot of wrestling fans who would love to see AJ Styles and Kenny Omega go at it, with AJ simply pretexting, "We've got some unfinished business. Don't we, cleaner type of thing. And I think everyone would be okay with that. Ricochet this week. He popped on to social media and basically, he was healing it up. He was in character. He was saying AJ shouldn't come here. He's scared. He's afraid of me. And he's probably thinking, look, we're both unfettered, unchained from, the house style, the WWE house style. Let's see what we can do together. I think these are things that have draw value, right? I think it's like I told you last time on stream. If I'm AEW, I bring in AJ Styles for a year, 12 months. And and every pay-per-view, I get 12 big time fucking matches out of him. Big time singles matches. And you do all the matches that people never thought that they were going to see. I've even seen Bandito and AJ Styles. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Send him to Arena Mexico. Have him fight Mystico. That's where I'm at in my head. I bet he's kicking himself that that his contract was up a little too late and he couldn't go join the festivities in Japan for Tanahashi's retirement and stuff like that, Dust off Christopher Daniels. Let's have AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels one more time. No, don't do that. We don't need to sully the legacy of one of the rare, all-timer great matches from TNA, right? But yeah, there's no one right now that seems to want to go on record and say it's happening or it's not happening. So we're still very much in a fluctuation zone here. There's still a lot of stuff going around. It's still going to fluctuate quite a bit. But from everything that I've listened to, everything I've picked up, the through lines are AEW has made an offer to AJ Styles. And look, I've said it multiple times when we were talking about AJ Styles in the past few weeks. I find that this is a guy who's dead behind the eyes now. This is a guy who I felt was phoning it in, didn't care. So when he started talking about retirement, I was like, oh yeah, I can see it. This guy's done. I can see it. This guy's done. Because I kept feeling like regardless of what he got into, regardless of what he was doing, it was all just going through motions. And there was no more pizzazz. There was no more, that AJ Styles magic, right? Of course, the dead behind the eyes could 100% be due to the fact that he's just sick of being where he is. Absolutely. That could absolutely be a thing. And maybe all he's really looking for is a proper change of scenery, and then the eyes get lit up again, and he puts a little extra conditioner in his hair, and he's out and he's dazzling us all again. And we're like, Jesus Christ. Imagine the thing. It'll make us upset at the number of years that were lost in WWE while they were doing basically nothing with them. Right? Before we wrap it up, should I end this segment on a depressing thought? Chad, do you want me to end this little AJ Styles talk on a depressing thought? Because, again, you know, this is a theory. This is not something that I have heard anyone say, oh, this is being discussed. Okay? But hear me out. It's a theory. It's a theory that was shared with me. But again, an absolute 100% theory, just shooting this shit, fantasy booking, okay? There is, what I'm about to say has no root in anything factual or any rumor that I have heard. And here's the depressing part. What if this retirement is indeed not a true retirement? What if it is an angle? Because AJ Styles' contract isn't up just yet. And he goes over to TNA. You see, he's no longer a WWE superstar. In kayfabe, in canon. So he goes to TNA and has a couple of matches there. Look, again, this is a loyal guy, right? This is a loyal guy. And he unquestionably has good feelings about TNA. And he sees how things are going. And he sees a guy like Mike Santana right now as the champion. He's got his old pal, Frankie Kazarian, still kicking around down there. And he's like, you know what? Like Triple H said here, right? And he'd like to give something back. Go into TNA. You have a couple of matches. You pop a couple of numbers. You're still under contract with WWE. The retirement thing is all just kayfabe. You know? I'm just saying. Could that be a possibility? And I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying to tongue-in-cheek this and like, I know something you don't. That's not at all. I was listening to someone talk a couple of days ago. And they brought it up and I was like, oh my God, he's right. That could happen. Oh my God. So, you know, because no one has reported that his contract is up. Am I correct, chat? No one has come out, Fightful specifically, they're usually really plugged in on this stuff. Mike Johnson, no one has come out to say AJ Styles' contract is up. Compare that to the Tommaso Ciampa stuff, where Tommaso Ciampa said, my contract is coming up. All it is right now is AJ Styles loses a career match at Royal Rumble, but it could all still be an angle. We'll see. We'll see. But it's a very interesting time. This has been such a great contract season, chat. Don't you find? This has been like the best contract season in a long fucking time. I think ever since Cody left AEW, when the rumors started of Cody, they started floating around that he was going to leave AEW. That was S tier. That was an S tier contract season. There's been so much really fun stuff. It's been a lot of fun to cover. AJ can't be happy with the ways his career has gone in the past number of years. He had a chance a few years ago to leave WWE. And by the way, there was an offer from Tony Khan on the table. It says, you leave WWE, we will welcome you with open arms. And AJ Styles decided to re-sign. I think he's re-signed twice if I'm not mistaken, since AEW has been around. Because the contract I think that he's on right now is a 1-year deal. I think. So again, like it, these things about every time I hear this, right? Where it's like, we had these discussions with Shinsuke Nakamura. It was like Nakamura can't be happy with how his career is. Nakamura has had multiple times to jettison his ass out of the company. 2, if not 3 opportunities. And he re-signed every time. So is he really that unhappy? From an outside observer's perspective, I would say no. I think he's satisfied with his lot. America has been clamoring for the AJ versus Mr. Elegance feud. Hell yeah. AJ versus Swerve, AJ versus Hangman, versus Ospreay, versus Danielson, if Danielson can still go. But then again, people have been telling me that the masked guy that showed up at Royal Rumble is Bryan Danielson. I don't know if you heard this. And the logic that the masked person is Bryan Danielson is because Brie Bella showed back up into WWE, right? I'm telling you, the Bella twins, they're just like everyone else, right? And they were so adamant and so like pro-woman when they left, and they were not outright talking shit about WWE, but they were saying things aren't great there and so on and so forth, and we're off to do our thing, and we weren't respected and so on and so forth. But then check this out. They're both back. Anyway, wrestlers, man, they're all the same. They'll say whatever suits them best at the time to get attention and potentially money. And then when that stops working out, well, then they will step over whatever they were saying. So it's fine. Did we ever get an AJ versus Ciampa match? I don't think so. If so, it happened, while Ciampa was the Miz's underling, and I didn't see it. Probably was nothing. Pros hired AJ Styles. Cons probably has to sign the Good Brothers as well. No, shut up. No. No. AJ replaces Avon on NXT. I mean, that's a legitimate upgrade from every perspective. Only question is, who is going to tune in to see it? Who is going to tune in to see him out wrestle Kazarian? I think it'd have an impact, no pun intended, on some TNA ratings to have AJ Styles show up to wrestle and pay-per-view buys. I think it would have a positive impact. Theory: TK signing a bunch of talent is to offset the wrestlers that are leaving after their contract ends. Yes, I think there's going to be a bunch of people who are not going to be renewed this year in AEW, and I also think, and I know this is a meme, but I also think whatever salary Chris Jericho was getting from AEW is also freeing up some space. Anyway, there you go. For our boy AJ Styles. AJ versus Andrade just to be spiteful. Yeah, man, you're getting it. All right, we got to talk about this Roman Reigns appearance on the Pat McAfee show that had the world a buzzing before before the Royal Rumble this week. We're going to read this article off the Figure 4 Online, Wrestling Observer, or Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online. And here's, okay. He said a bunch of stuff during this interview, but there's one quote in particular that I want to go over. That Roman said, of course. So he's hyping the Royal Rumble and whatnot. And then he cuts a line here, which I'll read it to you, okay? And then we'll get into the analysis. But to be completely honest and transparent here, 2 years ago, it all changed around. And what I've been doing out there hasn't exactly been the same of what I've done before. And the way I look at it is, I'm a generous tribal chief. I give the people plenty of time. These young talent, they say we hog all the TV time. They'll complain about one thing, and then I leave an opening. I give them plenty of space to create whatever type of superstardom they want. Get over, kids, get over. You know what I mean? And we're 2 years here now, and we haven't advanced. We haven't evolved. We have great leadership in Nick Khan. God bless him, what a businessman. He's a genius. But we have to be able to keep up with that creatively. And that's why people like me, people who are striving to be the very best, the greatest, the GOATs, the Michael Jordans, I just can't sit around and see mediocrity. Not when I set it up for everything to just slam it home. I mean, we're on Netflix, for crying out loud. You got to capitalize. We have people playing around and trying to figure it out, and I got the formula. I know how to cook it up. Now, he said a bunch of other stuff as well. I don't care about the other stuff. This is the quote that I want to, that I sort of want to pick apart here, or at least give my thoughts over. Because when I saw this, I thought it was funny as hell. I was rubbing my hands together and I was like, all right, we get to dress down Paul the Fraud Levesque one more time this week because our boy here, Roman Reigns, talks about having great leadership in WWE, yet mentions only Nick Khan. And then later says, you know, we've got great leadership, but we have to keep up with that creatively. Now, who's in charge of creative in World Wrestling Entertainment? That's right, Paul the Fraud Levesque. So I'm like, oh, this is a juicy bit. This is really interesting. And to be frank, well, you know, I'll be Warren, you be Frank. All of these, this quote here, the quote about the business thing, I saw that first out of context, because when I read the rest and him talking about being a generous tribal chief, like, oh, wait, is this a kayfabe interview? Is he in character right now? Because if so, it kind of diminishes the other thing. It's not as juicy as I thought it was. And I've been then seeing a lot of things going around, a lot of people talking, and apparently, yes, it is. It is all in character. It is all a stage play for something that they're shooting for season 3 of Unreal. And folks, I gotta tell you, that makes all of this even worse. Like, from the disappointment of this being a work to being a work for the phony reality show that they do, it is extremely disappointing. It popped my bubble so hard at the thought of Roman Reigns just taking a sneaky dig at Triple H. And now the possibility is that this sneaky dig might actually be a part of something that they're going to be setting up for Unreal, which is absolutely fucking awful. Why, folks? Why are we doing work shoots? You know, work shoots, that classic go-to when everything goes wrong, you know, and that when you're completely out of ideas, the work shoot. You get the internet, you work the internet fans, you blur the lines between reality and fake, and the good part of a work shoot is that every single time it makes money, right? Every work shoot comes with the guarantee that you're going to be making tons and tons of money. It is going to be an angle, a story that people are going to talk about for a long time, right? Work shoots, brother. That's what the audiences want. That's what wrestling fans always want. Of course, in case you haven't picked it up, I'm being sarcastic. Work shoots stink. Work shoots have never made money. They've never made any money for a company. They've made money for people. You look at Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman made some money off of a work shoot, but they never, ever worked. And as chat points out, and on top of that, not only does it make tons of money, your locker room then becomes really happy and content, and no paranoia then is created, right? The boys love to be worked. Oh, geez. They just love it when the promoter starts running things that they're not quite sure are true or not. Man, oh man. And it's a work shoot for the fucking Unreal show. They're not even doing it for the main shows. They're going to set up this fake little tiff between Triple H and Roman Reigns so that more people will watch Unreal. Look, brother, I have seen plenty of clips of Unreal going around, on social media and on YouTube and whatnot. And I mean, that show just looks like a disaster. This season 2 looks awful. Like everyone who's in charge in this company just is awful. They all come across as idiots. It's so dumb. So yeah, this is all a work for the Unreal show. I don't know who's going to be into this. I don't know who this is for. Like hardcore wrestling fans aren't into this shit. And most of them aren't even into the Unreal to begin with. So are they going to feed this to their audience of WWE super fans, and they're going to look at this and going to be, oh my goodness, they really didn't get along backstage, without realizing that they're still being worked, that there is no reality in a reality show? How long has it been, folks, since people have figured out that reality shows are not real, that they're all like produced, overproduced? There's always people giving directions, and like even that fucking 90 Day Fiancé stuff. There's always a producer there trying to create situations and asking questions to infuriate people. Like, it's been a long fucking time now. We all know that reality shows are all, it's all actors. It's all acted by actors who aren't actors. Like, at this point, we all have to come together and understand that. So, look, maybe from that perspective, maybe running a work shoot angle for Unreal makes a lot of sense. Maybe in that circumstance, it makes a lot of sense. Maybe. But look, let's just say that Roman is indeed discontent. He's not pleased. Because look, when he says 2 years, we've been, what does he say here? It all changed. 2 years ago, it all changed. What happened 2 years ago, chat? What happened 2 years ago? Vince gone, right? Vince left 2 years ago. And Roman's like, he's basically saying, this has all been in disarray since Paul Levesque took over. Now, if this were all true, again, fantasy time with Warren Hayes here. If this was all true and Roman Reigns truly was fed up with WWE, Tony Khan will do everything in his power to sign Roman Reigns. He will sell the Jaguars under his dad's nose if he needs to sign Roman Reigns. And don't you think for a second that don't you think for a second that Roman Reigns would not be his white whale? Don't you think for a second that wouldn't happen? So there you go. Wanted to point that out. I kind of wished it was real because I think that more people. No, let me say that again. I am continuously on the hunt for opportunities to dress down Paul Levesque. So I was disappointed when it sort of all came together and I was like, yeah, it is a work, isn't it? I was disappointed. But Paul will figure it out. He won't let me down. He'll give me a reason to come after him soon. That won't be very long. DP Milligan, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Do you think the point of Unreal is for WWE management to control the narrative of the product's real life incidents? Yes. Yes, it is. It's to create an environment where everyone seems to be happy and everyone's in a good mood and everyone loves each other and you get supportive back pats and hugs and all of that. And it's all to show that WWE is one big happy family, right? That's what that is ultimately what it's all for. The problem is that some of the people who are in charge are absolute dunces. So when they try to control the backstage narrative, such as the R-Truth stuff, and R-Truth is there on the show saying, no, I thought it was, where you have Triple H saying, excuse me, before that, you have Paul Levesque saying, in his interview segment, but he was not fired. He was absolutely, definitely not fired. And then R-Truth goes, no, yeah, they kind of fired me. Look, they told me not to show up. They told me not to come back. I kind of think that, yeah, that's what a firing is. It felt like a firing to me. And they're so dopey that they go and put it in their doc, and they don't understand that, they just made Triple H look like a fool. Anyway, just everyone's dopes. Everyone is dopey. Trying to convince me that the roadie is some kind of like business smart, wrestling high level thinker where he's like, it just makes good business sense. It's like, fuck off, Road Dogg. Fuck off. This guy, who just managed to make all the friends he needed to do when everyone was in party mode, right? He's the guy that went to all the strip clubs and got drunk with everyone. This fucking guy, the least talented of the Armstrong brothers, this fucking guy, and count his fucking blessings that he has friends that he partied with that are now in high places. Would Reigns be willing to work enough dates to make it work? Tony, again, I'm speculating here, okay? But from what I know, Tony Khan would bend over backwards for a Roman Reigns signing. It would be one of these things where whatever Roman wants, Roman will get. And he will absolutely work limited dates. I'm convinced. Warren, do you agree with Lashley that Ospreay is potentially a huge star and only an idiot could mess that up? Yes. Yes. Here's the thing with Will. AEW is going to have a golden opportunity with Will Ospreay. Because he came in and was instantly the biggest star in the company. Recall when Ospreay, the first few weeks that Ospreay showed up, everyone was losing their fucking minds. He created such a change for the better in the atmosphere, in the air, the vibes. And everyone, there was a legit, I don't want to say everyone, but there was a legitimate push where everyone was saying, belt Ospreay up now. Whatever plans you had, belt them up now. Because the vibe that exists right now, the energy that exists around Will Ospreay now, you will not be able to recreate it. This type of acceptance is organic. It's a toothpaste out of the. It's a situation where you can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. And everyone, there's a huge contention of people who still believe that they fucked it up by belting up Swerve and not belting up Ospreay. Because they just missed that golden window of opportunity where Ospreay was at the top of his powers as far as popularity goes. They're going to have a second chance for that. Because this injury is keeping Ospreay away from everyone. Everyone is fucking worried about him. Everyone is desperate to know if he's going, when and if he's going to wrestle again. When he comes back, he is going to be the top guy. They're maybe not going to be able to copy the same type of energy, but they are going to reignite Will Ospreay in AEW. And yes, they would be a fool, the fooliest of fools, to fuck it up. And I don't care what your plan is. In fact, your only plan in 2026 should be Will Ospreay wins the AEW Men's World Championship in Wembley Stadium at All In. That's your plan. And there'd have to be something, a seismic change for that to not happen this year. Now, I want to nuance something. For me, especially in retrospect, now that we have the benefit of 2020 vision, sticking to the plan and making Swerve a guy was absolutely the right move, because that added an extra dude on the level. He is over. Everyone loves Swerve. He is a true top guy in the company. So that's the sacrifice you make in your fantasy booking world, where you either strap up Will Ospreay at the height of his popularity, but you sacrifice not getting Swerve over to the extent that he is today. And I think, like I said, look, Ospreay's always going to be over. Might not be at that level that he was when he first came in, but he will always be over. And on top of that, you got another guy over. So it's all like beneficial. I only hope that Will Ospreay, when he comes back, stops trying to put everyone over. Because he just wants to, this is a guy that you don't have to tell me. He doesn't have to tell me in interviews, I want to leave the business in a better place than when I came in. Like, his actions prove it. His actions show it. So I hope when he comes back, he's less in let's help the business as opposed to being more in let's help Will Ospreay. That's what he has to do. I hope to God he's in that boat. And if he's not in that boat, Tony needs to give him a really good talking to. AEW having Roman would be more symbolic than an increase to the product's quality. Oh, it's absolute. Oh my goodness. It's absolutely a symbol. It is. That's exactly what it is. The Shield reunion in AEW, an eventual triple threat match. How pissed Trips would be. Yeah. Like, if you want to look, if you do it to piss off Hunter Hearst Helmsley, go right ahead. But me personally, moi, I am zero interested in any Shield reunions. I am zero interested in AEW becoming the stomping grounds for WWE gimmick revivals. Does that make sense? Like, and you can go back, I'm on record. I was not a fan with the reunion of the Undisputed Era. I was like, why are we treading this water? Why are we going down this path? I hate that. Was fun in NXT like 5 years ago at the time, 4 years ago, whatever. That was fun back then. Now it's like, all right, no. Had Ospreay not been hurt this past year, I 100% believe he would have taken the belt off of Mox instead of Hangman. Ooh. Some people would even argue that if Darby Allin hadn't climbed the mountain, he would have been the guy to take the belt off. I don't think people are necessarily ready to hear the reality that Hangman was not the first choice. I mean, he ended up being the choice, and ultimately that's what matters, right? There's still a lot of juice to squeeze out of Ospreay versus Fletcher, especially on top. Absolutely. Holy shit. We're not that's a story you can tell for a long fucking time. And Will is going to be coming back, and he's going to be putting over Callum Newman over in New Japan. Don't forget that. Will is going to have a busy 2026 once he comes back. There's actually so many top level guys now. Is that a problem potentially if more top guys jump into AEW? Depends. Like, how many top guys would, like, we're talking like Roman Reigns level? How many top guys do we have in WWE? You've got Roman, you've got CM Punk, he ain't coming back yet. Cody, he ain't coming back yet. Who are the other top people? Gunther's not moving. Like, he's the golden boy right now. Like, I don't think it's that much of an issue. And like I said, like, you bring in a guy like AJ Styles. That's why, like I was saying earlier, you bring in a guy like AJ Styles, you bring him in for a year because he's pushing 50. There's only so much that he's going to be able to give. Bring him in for a year. Give us a fucking great year. 12 pay-per-view top tier matches. Get all the dream matches out of the way. Send AJ off of that. Have a match in Alabama, right? Isn't that where he's from? Atlanta, Alabama? Gainesville, right? Georgia. No, that's it. Georgia. Have him Have him run a venue in the South. AJ's last big match, and there you go. Doesn't have to be here. You know, when he's not taking top spots, he's just having he's having a farewell tour. No one wants Rollins in AEW. I don't even think Rollins wants to go to AEW. But Warren, you know it would be so over. See, this is where I'm going to push back a little. I'm going to push back just a bit because I don't know how much juice that would have with AEW fans. I think people would want him. I want the match. But I think eventually people will be like, why do we want the match? Why do we want this bad? Like, I don't know. I'm talking from a very personal point of view here, and maybe my read is absolutely wrong. And, you know, sometimes I'm able to look past how I'm feeling, but here I'm like, no, I don't want the Shield reunion. I don't want them. I don't want them doing callbacks to the chair shot and all this fucking bullshit. You know, it's like, this is years ago. I was talking with Rich Craich not that long ago, and he made me realize something where it's like wrestling nostalgia is a fairly recent thing. And when I say fairly recent, I'm talking maybe 10, 20 years or so, right? Because a lot of the guys who came up in the 80s and 90s were still like wrestling a lot of them into the 2000s. And then they started retiring, and then people started, and then part of the promotion was, hey, remember this great wrestler from the past? He's still with us. And you can go watch this person's old matches, on the WWE network, or you buy a Coliseum home video or whatever the fuck. Right. So wrestling nostalgia, Cause like Rich told me, Buddy Rogers or, Harley Race or even Ric Flair weren't going around doing throwbacks back in the day to the guys that they train with, that they watched in the 60s or whatever, the 50s, the 60s. They weren't going around doing all these throwbacks. They were just like, no, we're the guys in the now, right now, and we're going to do our own thing. Like, the wrestling nostalgia back then was not a thing. It wasn't a thing. People remembered. You'd have the guys on the road tell stories and whatnot, and that's fun. But as far as it entering the performance and becoming a catalyst, oh, do you remember this era when things were? That's fairly new. It's not that's it. It's a fairly recent phenomenon. Oh, AEW, I am 100% convinced. And you can, if you look, I don't bet, and this is not, I'm not sponsored by any betting organization or setup. And by the way, I wouldn't, because bunch of reasons. But look, I don't bet, and I'm not offering any betting advice. But if I were a betting man, I would absolutely check out the odds and probably put some money on AEW running a WrestleMania week style thing in Louisiana at WrestleMania in April next year, or at least, around April next year, because next year is the WrestleMania in Riyadh, right? I am 100% convinced they're doing it. 100% convinced they're doing it. Mark your calendars. Ibu says Tony Khan sees Roman Reigns as a god. Yeah. I'm telling you all. I agree with Ibu. Tony Khan will do everything to sign a free agent Roman Reigns. If he ever hears that Roman Reigns is available or is interested in listening, it's going to turn into his white whale. Trust me. Trust me. All right, let's go back to the docket. I know it's getting late, but there's stuff I want to talk about. God damn it. Like this Thea Hale thing, I've been wanting to talk about it, I think, for 3 streams now. But it's like the least important thing. It's more like to go, ha! And then there's more interesting things happening. All right, so Ava has announced her departure from WWE. The former NXT general manager released a statement on Friday revealing that last Tuesday's episode of NXT was her last with the company, saying she decided not to renew her contract. Ava's statement reads, "This past Tuesday was my last appearance on NXT and subsequently WWE. Thank you all who have cheered, watched, and supported me through my journey." Couldn't be me then. This is not a message for me. It's not addressed to me then. So, I'll just read it, but clearly it's not meant for me. Well, my decision to not renew my contract was very difficult. It's also a new turning point in my life. It has been an honor and a privilege to be Ava, the 24-year-old the daughter of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Signed with WWE and reported to the Performance Center in Orlando in early 2020. She joined Joe Gacy's Schism faction as Ava Rain in 2022 and made her in-ring debut the following year. Ava only wrestled on WWE programming 3 times, with her only singles match being a loss to Ivy Nile at Heatwave 2023. She transitioned to an on-screen authority role in late 2023. First as Shawn Michaels' assistant and then later being promoted to general manager in 2024. All right. Yeah. Look, this is a net positive for everyone in wrestling. Ava has always been bad. She has been bad at every aspect of professional wrestling. And I'm sorry, like she's young. She's got an entire career ahead of her. That's fine and dandy. But look, she can go work for any of her dad's studios or even go work for any studios, piggying off the back that she's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's daughter, right? The world is her oyster. But as a performer, she stinks. And she always stunk. And as a wrestler, she was terrible. And it's crazy that someone like her would enter the wrestling business and have just no affinity for it on any level, like any fucking level. And it's even more baffling when you consider that her father is just like one of the most charismatic professional wrestlers, top 3 of all time, right? And nothing trickled down to her. I don't care if she's got, if she has no in-ring, if she can't wrestle, because she couldn't wrestle, all right? She could not wrestle. But if you can look past that, and if you want to give her a role on screen to be the general manager, then you're like, Well, at least if she can talk, she can't talk. She can't talk. She can't act. She's flat. She's got no energy. She's got no presence. She's a dud, an absolute dud. The NXT program will benefit from Ava not being on it anymore. And that's the cold, hard, simple truth. She made the decision for TKO management that they were like, wish we could fire her, but she's Dwayne's daughter and Dwayne sits on the board. So, are you going to fire? No, I'm not firing the Rock's daughter. What the fuck? She made the decision for that. She made the decision for them, should say. Jesus Christ. The show NXT will be better without her. Okay? Like there's no two ways about it. There's no two ways about it. She brought nothing to the table. She literally was like a Brian Pillman Jr. It's a Brian Pillman Jr. situation, right? We have talked about Brian Pillman Jr. multiple times in the past. You know, talent for talent, pound for pound, the exact same professional wrestler trying to make it in the business, who is an exact clone of Brian Pillman Jr., but is not the son of a revered pro wrestler that a lot of the boys in the day hung out with and loved and always said, well, look out for his kid. That wrestler who doesn't have that benefit doesn't make it half as far as Brian Pillman Jr. did. A guy who is flat as fuck and an average at best pro wrestler who has no charisma. Any other wrestler never makes it as far as MLW. Because that's where Pillman was for a while, right? Before signing with AEW. But it's Pillman's kid. And, you know, like I've said multiple times, you know, the guys who are in charge now, well, you know, the old heads, they're all guys who knew Brian. They're like, oh, we're going to look out for the kid. You know, that camaraderie. You know. Anyway. But I'm not done talking about Ava. Not done talking about her. Of course, WWE put out a statement, right? WWE thanks and applauds Simone Garcia Johnson for her stellar work. Stellar is the word that they decided to use here. All right. The bar is absolutely in the mud. Her passion, dedication, and impact were felt across the entire NXT and WWE community. I wish her the very best. It's funny that they used WWE community and not universe. Kind of a break. But then I just realized it's not on the docket. Hang on, let me do a quick search here. Because we're going to pull it up here. You can always, well, not always, but you can often count on Reddit. you don't always have to hand it to Reddit. But, you know, there's a lot of times Reddit gets the job done. But then, here is Ava's true legacy. This is her legacy. She hits on she goes on Twitter and she says this. And now that I can say this with my full chest, middle finger emoji, ICE and that entire administration. She didn't write fuck. She gave the middle finger emoji, middle finger emoji, ICE and that entire administration. Now, this is Ava's legacy in professional wrestling. Basically outing that, yes, indeed, there is a gag order. Gag order maybe is a little strong, but there is a directive provided by WWE PR to its talent, forbidding them from saying anything negative about the current political climate / administration, probably in the United States of America. And that, to me, is really, really interesting. Look, I don't think anyone is surprised. If you're surprised, well, welcome to pro wrestling. Pull up a chair. You're in for a hell of a ride. But like, if anyone is surprised about the idea that WWE is muzzling basically what their talent can or cannot say, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It's just, it makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm saying that I'm like, my initial assumption is, oh, well, they don't want anyone saying anything bad about the administration. But what if it's just like no political stuff at all? Anything, like no comments on Israel, no comments on Palestine, no comments on trans issues, no comments on, you know, pedophilia, which is apparently a political thing now. You know, like just maybe that's the blanket statement there, where it's just like, it's not just a question of you cannot say bad things about the administration. It's just like, you cannot say anything at all. Maybe that's the order, right? Maybe those are the directives. Because as far as I know, I haven't really, I could be wrong here, Chad, because to be perfectly honest, I don't follow WWE superstar accounts on Instagram, on Twitter. So, but I feel like if a wrestler were to share something positive about MAGA, for instance, it'd be all over blue sky, and that people, you know, that wrestler would get scorched earth, right? I'm talking a WWE wrestler here, or talent in general, right? Like they don't ever post anything that has any implication with the current political, socio-political climate, right? But if anything, this is just confirming, right? That's the thing. This is what we have to focus on, is that she basically outed the company directive that we can't talk politics on her way out. Just as simple as that. And this is ultimately her legacy. This is what she leaves behind. Now, she clearly doesn't have any interest to go back working there. I don't know why she would. Like that, I wouldn't call it like burning a bridge, but you know, she sure has made it more complicated to reach the bridge. She's you know, made it a little harder. Maybe she threw in a couple of potholes on the way, like these really massive, you know, the really massive post-winter potholes that we northern cities get when the snow melts, right? You know what I'm talking about. I mean, I mean, that's the extent of it, right? I mean, good for her. Good for her. And the thing that makes it all the more ridiculous, I guess, as a final thought here, when she says something like that, and you consider that WWE talent are all independent contractors, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. Why would you? How can you? Like if they were employees, let's spin it this way. If they were employees, they could. Then WWE could absolutely then they could absolutely like crack down a little more, right? They could crack down more. But in this circumstance here, being an independent contractor, I don't know. It's very it just continues to propagate the concept that this independent contract business in WWE is all bullshit. We know, like, we all inherently know it's bullshit, but now it's like true to form, massive 100% bullshit. Like, if your independent contractors are limited in what they can say, that's not what happens when you hire an independent contractor. That's more of a thing that you expect out of an employee. Just saying. Anyway, best of luck to Ava. Look, I'm sure she'll find her footing in something in Hollywood, probably behind the scenes, more on a production level, maybe, I don't know. She's still young. There's a lot of stuff she can do. She clearly wants to do something. She wants to be a part of something creative, but this is to her benefit. Leaving WWE, absolutely to her benefit. And look, and don't get fooled. Just before I forget, I've already started hearing things that, oh, well, apparently she wasn't very well liked backstage because of her politics, and apparently she's a very, she would act like a Nepo baby backstage. Oh, isn't this interesting? Right? Someone leaves WWE and suddenly you start hearing the rumors that they're difficult to work with. Yeah, fuck off. I've been down this rodeo before. They said Bray Wyatt was difficult to work with. Do you remember this? Do you remember when they fired Bray Wyatt? Do you remember this? That was the thing that started going around. That Bray Wyatt was difficult to work with. It's always the same fucking playbook with these fucking people. When someone leaves and they're not happy with how they're leaving. Because clearly someone's unhappy with the way she's leaving. Paradigm hiring. No. Fred Moreland, nice to see you, pal. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on top of that. And also co-host of the Good, the Bad, the Hungry podcast on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Voices of Wrestling's AEW focused podcast. How you doing, Freddie? Oh, Warren, should we talk about the lollipop crash out and firing of Dawson? No, I'm not giving any air to that. Not until something legal happens, but nope, not at all. The best thing Ava ever did was that tweet. Yep, pretty much. WWE shitting bricks that The Rock is mad. No, The Rock is probably not mad, though. I understand. I know it's a joke. But The Rock is probably not mad. He's just like, no, it's fine. My daughter wants to do something else. The 2026 Great Wrestling Primer is dropping this week. You didn't invite me this year, Fred, you motherfucker. Who'd you get to talk New Japan this year? Did you get John? Who'd you get? Who'd you get to talk New Japan, Fred? He's not answering. Oh, you got Samza for New Japan. Oh, that's fine. That's fine then. If you got Samza for New Japan, that's fine. It's not as if I can't talk about any other promotions, right? Of course, I know. So, I'm, what do I know? I know. All right. Look, I think on this upcoming Thursday, I get the feeling that Simone never had a really passion for pro or love for pro wrestling. I don't think so either. What do you mean you called for volunteers? Where? When? In the Slack? I never saw it. I never saw any of those volunteers. You're the coward. Did you create a channel specifically for that and didn't invite me? Oh, I asked everyone in the channel. I see how this is going. We had talked about this a little bit, mentioned it, but I think we'll go a little more in detail on Thursday because we've got some contract stuff, with Clark Connors and what was the other one? I'm losing my brain at this point. Yeah, Clark Connors and Chase Owens and I'm sorry, I tried not to giggle. And now we have this breaking news that happened as we started up the stream that Hiromu Takahashi is going to be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was in the cards. We had talked about it. We had talked about it on stream recently. And yeah, this was in the cards. This was absolutely something that that people saw coming and that many considered to be one of the parts of this great exodus from New Japan that is happening in 2026. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, and I'll see what kind of knowledge and news comes out of it, what kind of whispers I pick up as well, and we'll talk about it some more. See, like, is Hiromu just going to freelance full time? Is freelance or full time Noah? I don't know. I think Noah going to hang out with his LIJ buddies is 100% going to be the case. I mean, he's already there. He's already GHC junior champion, unless he lost it. I don't think he lost it, right? He hasn't lost the title yet. And he's motivated. He's into it. It's like, good for him. Like, he just, and it's good for New Japan. I can't stress this enough. All these people leaving, Evil, Sonata. Well, Sonata, we'll talk about Sonata next time because I think there's been some updates regarding Sonata's condition, but nonetheless, let's throw him in there. Sonata and the War Dogs and Dave Finlay. Well, Dave Finlay is a War Dog, and Hiromu. I think all these people leaving is good for New Japan. I think it's good for New Japan. But I'm really going overboard. I'm really going late on the stream tonight, and I have some editing to do before bed. So yeah, we'll hang on to this for Thursday. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to seem dismissive. Okay, I don't want to seem dismissive. This is big news. This is a big deal. Hiromu Takahashi saying goodbye to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a guy around which the junior division has been built for, easily half a decade or close to a decade. A guy extremely charismatic, loved by the fans, a merch pusher. Just a tremendous addition. He just reaches a point where he's like, I think he saw it himself. He felt it himself. Where it's like, man, I'm running around in circles here. I'm doing always the same thing. I'm not into it. And you can tell he's not into it. You can tell he's not invested in what he's doing in New Japan, especially when he watches matches in Noah where you're like, oh, shit, Hiromu's still great. So it's good for him. It's good for Noah if that is his landing spot. It's good for New Japan. Everyone wins. Everyone wins in this circumstance. Noah gets another big time name to add to their roster. Like it's good wins for everyone. I am not worried with this great reset in New Japan. I am not worried in the slightest, champs. Not at all. I think I have high hopes, in fact. Maybe they're too high. And maybe I haven't learned my lesson from over the past 2 years watching New Japan, thinking that, oh, this year's finally the year. This is finally the year that they're going to start pushing the young guys, creating new stars and so on and so forth. But you really feel like for the first time, because look, we all thought Gabe Kidd was going to be a mega star in New Japan last year. Oh, yes. Yes, he was injured in the G1, but there was a whole half year before the G1 and they didn't do shit with him either. And I think that's why he's sizing up AEW. He's like, look, these assholes here in Japan are not going to do anything with me. You know, look, roster movement is good. Change is good. Turnover is good. Fresh faces are the best. Again, maybe I'm being too optimistic, like I said, because for the past 2 years, I've been saying, oh, this is the year that they're going to start pushing. This is the year they're going to start pushing. Now they have to, because no one's left. There is not a single old superstar, New Japan superstar, like in the true to form Oxford Dictionary definition of superstar, not WWE definition. But there are no more New Japan superstars left. Tanahashi's retired. Okada's gone. Naito's gone. Will Ospreay's gone. Jay White is. They're all gone. They're all gone. So you need new guys, and you should have started 4 years ago building the new guys. And I was saying last year, their backs against the wall. Last year I was saying their backs are against the wall. They have to start pushing new guys this year. And they still didn't do it. And if their backs were against the wall last year, well, now they're sinking into the wall like the Homer Simpson meme, you know, with the bush. That's where they're at right now. Anyway. We're done. We're done. We went long, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Also talked too much about painting miniatures at the start. may have been of my own doing. may have gone long, and it might be all my fault. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight, for popping into the chat. A very lively chat tonight. Hope everyone had a good time hanging out. I'm so infinitely proud of my little community here. I can't tell you enough. You guys and gals and non-binary pals are all fucking awesome. And I hope you come back soon, perhaps even on Thursday for the stream. That would be tremendous. However, in the meantime, Mr. Warren Hayes show will be released Wednesday. Dynamite review Thursday before the big stream at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So there you go. And if it's your first time here, consider subscribing. And we'll talk contracts. We'll preview the Stardom show this weekend, which I'm probably going to end up watching, very likely. I don't know if it's this weekend, because they had a really good Korakuen. What was it? Yesterday? Man, I didn't even talk about Arena Mexico. Fuck. Real quickly, this week's CMLL Friday show, the 2 last matches were excellent. Just great, just absolutely great matches. Zelwa and Claudio Castagnoli was awesome. This Zelwa kid, too young to be this good. Too young to be this good. And in the main event, you had the Sky Team against Defunto, Ultimo Guerrero, and who was the third guy? I can't remember who the third guy was. Anyway, it was tremendous. It was really good. I highly suggest watching the last 2 matches of the Friday Arena Mexico show. Tremendous stuff. Anyway, I'll bid you adieu. Goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang. I will talk to you Thursday. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you for being here.